Hey folks, Matt from artoftheimage.com. We got a viewer, Shiraj Modi, writing in, and he has a Nikon D5100 with an 18 to 55 VR kit lens. He says this is his first DSLR, but he'd like to invest a little more in gear, so he wants to examine some lenses. He's looking at the 35mm f1.8 Nikon and the Sigma 18 to 250 versus the Nikon 18 to 140, and also he's wondering, should he consider upgrading his body to a D5200, D5300, or D7000? So this is kind of a multi-part answer, or I guess a multi-part question, so it's going to be some multi-part answers. He says his primary use is personal events, mainly indoors, family portraits. I've not taken a lot of video, mainly because of the kit lens, but do intend to have good video capability. Travel, landscapes and wildlife, macro, sports and action, he says is the least priority, which really he's kind of covering the entire gambit here. Shiraj, I hope I'm saying that right. You are kind of asking for a do-everything lens, and sometimes and body, and sometimes you can't do that. If you primarily want to do some video, I would suggest upgrading your 5100 to either the 52 or the 53. I would stay away from the 7000 because I like the articulated screen for video. If that's not an issue for you, 7000 is a nice camera. But I would go with the 52 or the 53. You could probably save some money with the 52. So that hopefully answers your camera question. The Nikon 35mm f1.8, totally recommend it. You say I'm confused between the 50 and the 35, but you've zeroed in on the 35. But after considering your uses, you're wondering if the 50 might be a better option. Your uses are right across the board. If you want more of a general lens, I would go with the 35, just because it's a little bit wider, and you can use it for more things. Some people like to use the 35 even for portraits. Zach Arias loves his 35mm f2. So I will go with the 35 in that situation. They're both cheap enough. You could buy both. My favorite is the 50 f1.8 on a crop body, on a APS, or I guess a DX body. We're talking Nikon, but that's an APS-C body. That's the crop sensor body. You can also use that. The beauty of it is if you do upgrade to full frame, you can use it there too. So that's my favorite, is the 50mm f1.8. But for your uses, because you have such a wide expansive use, I would go with the 35 just because it's a little wider. Again, you could certainly acquire both at a reasonable price. So hopefully that answers that part of your question. Sigma 18 to 250 versus the Nikon 18 to 140. You're saying that the Sigma's cheaper, and you're looking at the DxO scores, and you're thinking that the Nikon scores a little better. You say 13 versus Sigma's 12. I haven't looked them up, but okay, that sounds right. And the Sigma offers a better reach and better macro. I would probably go with the Sigma in this situation because you're looking for a general walk-around zoom. So the added reach is going to be of advantage, and the fact, like you said, that it does macro. I'd have to double-check the specs on that. It's possible the Nikon is closer, but maybe not. I would, in that situation, probably save the money and go with the Sigma, simply because it's a greater range, has the macro, and isn't going to cost as much. So that would be my solution there. But bear in mind, I also have primes when I want to do more specific stuff. You're talking about buying the 35 f1.8 or the 50 f1.8, so you'll have that too. So that would be my suggestion, is to lean towards the Sigma. Try them both out in the store and see what you think, though. That's always a good thing to do. And your last question is, should I consider a number of shutter actuations when buying used? Absolutely. Always. This is like a car that has a higher kilometers on it. You're not going to pay as much, and you shouldn't, for a car that has higher kilometers, because it's near the end of its life and it's going to need more repairs. Same thing with a camera. Shutter's going to go. It's closer to the end of its life. Shutters have a life on them, a stated life, working life. They can be replaced. Oftentimes, with the lower end cameras, when you're out of warranty, it might not be worth the cost to do so. So by all means, I like factory refurbs. Check those out. They're a great deal. They usually don't have any shutter actuations, or very few, because a lot of times a factory refurb, I'm not talking about like sometimes you got to differentiate between a factory refurb and just your general refurb, because when I think of a factory refurb, that's something that's come off the line a little bit out of spec and somebody's dialed it in. So if anything, it's better maybe than the ones that pass the initial test, but it hasn't really been used. I buy my computers this way sometimes too. Whereas, you know, a used model that's been just refurbished, like, you know, it's kind of like a used camera, or it's been returned and has some actuations on it, that's a little different. But generally a factory refurb is a camera that usually doesn't have any shutter actuations or very few, and is a great deal because you'll get them at a better price. So hopefully that helps for you too. Definitely consider your shutter actuations if you're buying used. Overall condition and shutter actuations. So hope that answers your questions for you. Hope the rest of you might have got something out of that when you're considering lens upgrades, body upgrades, and whatnot. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. We can expand on it, discuss it. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon here at artoftheimage.com with more videos, more articles. We'll keep you up to date with what's going on in the world of photography, videography, and technology right here at artoftheimage.com. Thanks.